Africa, home to some of the world's fastest growing economies, and yet home to the greatest concentration of the world's poor people and some of the world's most fragile places. The continent that's funding so many of its own development needs and attracting public and private money from Africa and beyond, and yet the continent that still has real needs for long-term development finance. That's the backdrop for the African Development Fund. 43 years old in 2015. Over $40 billion have been dispersed through the fund in that time. 40 countries are receiving concessional loans and grants. We estimate that in the last 10 years, through the work of the bank and the fund, 14 million Africans have benefited from new or improved access to water and sanitation. We've supplied 280,000 cubic meters of water a day. 19 million Africans have benefited from new electricity connections. We've generated an extra 2,500 megawatts. 53 million Africans have benefited from improved access to transport. We've laid 34,500 kilometers of road, more than 4 times the distance from Morocco to South Africa. And 85 million Africans have benefited from better health services, whether we've built medical centers or supplied medicines. But what's the ADF thinking behind the scenes?
Over the past 43 years, the ADF has been all about smart partnerships. Partnerships with our donors, partnerships with our regional member countries, partnerships with civil society, and of course with other development actors. Now, it's a combination of these smart partnerships that helps to deliver value to our member countries. We are working very hard inside the bank to ensure that each dollar or each unit of account of very scarce resources put at the disposal of the ADF goes far to help make a difference in Africa. And how do we do that? We do that through a combination of ways. One is the recent introduction of new instruments, for example, the partial risk guarantee, partial credit guarantee, the private sector facility. These are all new instruments that have been designed to help the ADF do a lot more in our countries with the resources at their disposal. We are also doing more to be present on the field in our countries, and to be able to work in some of the most difficult places on the continent. And this is why we have a transition support facility that helps to address conditions of fragility in Africa. In carrying out this work, the ADF also ensures that women and men are given equal opportunities.
African Development Fund 13 received $6.8 billion worth of funding in September 2013. 4/5 of that sum came from 27 contributing countries, and 1/5 was reinvested from the bank group itself. So where does ADF 13 stand right now? At halfway through the 3-year cycle, half of the funds have been committed. The work is underway. Here are just 4 very visible examples. First, in Ethiopia, with the Mojo-Hawassa Road, a vital component of the Cape to Cairo Road corridor that will truly integrate the continent. Second, in Guinea, Côte d'Ivoire, Liberia and Sierra Leone, where the budget support program to combat Ebola has helped to stem some of the worst effects of the deadly pandemic. Third, in Chad, Gambia, Niger and Senegal, in a project to help build resilience against food and nutritional insecurity in the Sahel. And fourth, a project across West Africa to help integrate the electric power supply from Benin to Sierra Leone. What matters for the African Development Fund is impact on the ground. Impact for men, women and children. Impact for those who need it most across Africa, and especially in places of fragility and transition. So while ADF 13 is underway, here are 3 recently completed ADF projects from across Africa. First, to West Africa and Senegal, a water project.
This project through market farming gives us vegetables, vitamins, quite a lot in fact. It allows us to be almost self-sufficient. We sell what remains, which allows us to have a little income to meet the needs of our families, such as health, the children's education. And if we ever need extra cash, you can now borrow as a group for major expenses, like health problems, for example.
Second, to Southern Africa and Zambia, a project managing transboundary animal diseases.
I make 70% more these days. The extra money means I can pay for schooling and meet any medical bills.
Third, to Central Africa and Rwanda, a skills and entrepreneurship program.
The equipment that is here helps us produce 10 times more than we used to. It's a well-equipped and very clean place compared to where we were working. What we produced in one day takes 1 hour here. It's created several jobs.
In 40 years, over 30 countries have supported the ADF.
The African Development Bank has assisted us. We have put in the roads, we have put in the schools, we have put in the nurses' quarters, we put in the markets, we put in the water. Let us use that as an incentive to build on the quality of our lives.
Je suis convaincu que le docteur Adesina et son équipe ont la volonté et la capacité de poursuivre tous ces grands chantiers qui ont positionné le groupe de la Banque très haut sur l'échelle des institutions multinationales de financement du développement.
Let me thank you all very much, the donors and supporters of the African Development Fund, for supporting lives and livelihoods all across Africa. You have heard the voices, you've seen the faces of the people that you're supporting. Your support means so much, as you can see in the transformation that has happened with the financing provided to the African Development Bank. I would like you to also do more, not just do more for the bank, but through the bank, to do more for Africans, for millions of Africa's children, for millions of Africa's women, for millions of African small and medium-sized enterprises. Help us to light up Africa. Help us to feed Africa. Help us to industrialize Africa. Help us to be able to integrate Africa. Help us to improve the quality of life for the people of Africa. And in particular, help our small states, help our fragile states, help Africa to adapt to climate change. I know you can, and we continue to be grateful for your support. So thank you.
The African Development Fund, transforming lives in Africa.